Hello, my name is Brad, and this is a presentation about how to make your business more impactful. I was originally asked to do this presentation at a IBAT Leadership Conference in June of 2012. Due to its success or excitement around the presentation, people asked me to actually post it online for you guys to actually hear. So that's what I'm doing here today. And again, it's really just geared to talk about how to make your business an impactful one, one with purpose, one that is not just about making money, but doing something larger. So today, the agenda is essentially defining how did we come up within our company with what that success means. There's a lot of talk today about success and what it means and what it is and when do you have it. So naturally, I go out and start researching companies that inspire me, companies that I feel like have it figured out, and we'll share some of those examples. And then I'd just like to show you guys about what we're trying to do about defining our own success within our company. And I will give you a little insight into how those metrics and how those goals are working out thus far. So let's go ahead and just jump into our story. This process or this journey or whatever you want to call it originally started around this phrase. I'm in a group of Christian entrepreneurs that's called Convene, and Convene has done a very good job of making the things that are important to me, particularly my faith, really come out in trying to figure out ways how to infuse my faith into my business. And so one of the questions that they asked was, imagine this story where you're working away one Monday afternoon, and all of a sudden Jesus walks in. And Jesus walks in and he says, "Wow, Brad, you've done amazing things here. Why don't you give me a tour around the place?" And so you get up, you introduce him to the staff, you show him kind of the exciting different departments and what they're doing, all the exciting things that they're doing. And he sits back down and he just says, "Wow, Brad, you've done amazing things here. You should be very proud with the success that you've gotten. But let me ask you, what have you done to grow my kingdom? What have you done to grow my business?" And when you put it like that, when you think of the business as not your own, but that it is part of a larger calling, it kind of changes the perspective of what success should be. There's a lot of me in business, obviously, and about getting mine and getting that money, as they say. And so I realized that that's not everything that I necessarily want in life. I want it to mean a little bit more than just the cars or the houses that I could potentially get. And so I've kind of started this process of thinking out, well, let's define what success is for me, despite what the American dream potentially is defined as today. So the first thing that I've really had to do is that I'm a list guy, I'm a chart guy, and I really wanted to define what is success for me and what would make me happiest with my family and everything that I ultimately care about. So in a list fashion, I started listing some of that stuff down, but as I was going through the process, it felt like success is like one of those magical unicorns that no one really knows what it is, and it's unattainable, and nobody can really truly get on it or understand how to get it. So I started asking myself, first off, what is the right mix? I mean, how much should you enjoy play, and how much should you do work, and where does faith fit into that, and where does family fit into that? And just constantly asking the question, what is the right mix? I did know that, I wanted to work to live, not live to work. So really understanding that right mix for me and the right mix for my family is something that, as I was going through this process, I was trying to answer that question and what that looks like. Can I do that underneath another company? Can I do that working for somebody else? Or can I only do that for myself in having my own company? So I started a chart. I did both personal and work. To me, success for the standard folks maybe looks like something like this. Underneath, an individual or a person, personal view of success. It could be, success is money, happiness, however that's defined for you, getting houses, cars, you're able to travel. It does sound nice. Is that everything though? Or if I put my entrepreneur hat on, what is work success? Getting more revenue, becoming more profitable, being considered an innovative company, or one that just has high customer satisfaction. Meeting those metrics, is that a label of success? And to a lot of people, the answer would simply be yes, that's success for folks. But I felt like that there was still something more that we could do to find that answer. So I kept on looking. So what I'd like to do is just share a few impact examples that I found that inspired me, that I thought were really great stories to indicate how some companies that think a little bit different are doing some really amazing things in society, and in turn they have good businesses out of it too. So let's start off with one that as a Texas boy, one airlines that we fly around on most is Southwest Airlines. Most people know Southwest Airlines. If you asked the people at Southwest Airlines what business that they're in, most people would answer, the common thought would just be, well, that's easy, they're in the airline business. But if you asked Herb Kelleher, who was one of the founders of Southwest Airlines, they're not only in the airline business, they're actually in the freedom to fly business. And whenever Southwest Airlines was first started, there was a small percentage of the American population that was able to fly. It was considered kind of a high-end thing to do. It was very expensive. Not a lot of people could do it at that point. Since Southwest Airlines and the focus on low-cost flights and the way that Southwest Airlines has done their business with having one plane, everybody can fly on those same planes as far as their staff. They're trained on one thing, keeping it simple, keeping costs down. Now over 90% of the U.S. population is flown. So it's really changed the way that people have been able to live their lives, because they wanted to democratize travel at Southwest Airlines. So, Southwest is known to do a lot of creative things. One of those is the Bags Fly Free campaign. If you haven't seen it, let me show you a little commercial here, and I'll tell you a little story about how they started the Bags Fly Free campaign.
All right, everyone, listen up and pay close attention, because I'm going to show you all the moves you need to know to call out the other guys for charging you unnecessary fees. So let's get started. We've got unnecessary bag fees from the other guys.
We have flagrant cash strapping from the other guys.
All right, I'm calling intentional horsing around with your money on those other guys.
We have un-Southwest-like
conduct. We have a fake out on change fees.
We have securing the fare online.
Okay, this is fee tacking from the other guys.
We got some serious roughing up the wallet on those other guys. Just shameful.
So Southwest Airlines instituted the Bags Fly Free campaign just to look as a differentiator of how all the other airlines were charging for bags once the economy got bad and airlines started to hurt. But the interesting backstory with that is that there is a guy out of Austin named Roy Spence Jr., and he is one of the founders of GSD&M out of Austin, big marketing agency. He was in a room with a lot of the Southwest executives, along with Gary Kelly, who is their CEO, and they were talking about this campaign. Did they want to do it? Did they want to charge for bags? The financial guys were in the room calculating, and they told Gary, you have the opportunity to gain $350 million if you start charging for bags. $20 a bag, $25 a bag, whatever it was. So $350 million is a tough decision to make because there's some substantial revenue there. So they went around the room and they talked about it, and they got over to Roy, and Roy said, well, you know, Gary, you could charge for bags, sure, but it's going to go against your purpose. If you're in the freedom to fly business, then that's not what you should be doing, because it goes against how they're trying to impact people and the reasons that they were ultimately successful. So they decided not to do it. They came out with a very successful Bags Fly Free campaign, and since then they were able to actually generate, because of that, because of looking and thinking about the person first and about the ability to have them fly, they actually have made up to $1 billion for free. Let me say that again. They made $1 billion for charging nothing for bags. So that's the sort of impact, business impact, that you could have by just thinking about your customers first, sticking with what your purpose is, and ultimately, you know, doing what's right at the end of the day, not just for the easy money because everybody else is doing it too. So let's talk about another impactful company. Let's talk about Tom's. Tom's is, you know, most people know Tom's as they're in the shoe business. What they would actually say is that they're in the better tomorrow business. For those of you that don't know, they actually have a one-to-one campaign. They've had it since the beginning that basically gives a pair of shoes for every purchase of shoes bought. They give a pair of shoes to a kid in need. And they started their business with that business model in mind. So a lot of people are struggling to convert a, you know, originally just revenue-centric, profit-centric business into a purpose-based or impact-based business. But Tom's is interesting because they actually started the business model, started the business with this purpose in mind. So here's a little video about Tom's.
Say thank you for giving us this pair of shoes, and we really appreciate that.
Gracias por los zapatos. Gracias.
Merci pour souliers.
Thank you so much for all your support. None of this would be possible without you.
So as you can see, Tom's isn't just about selling shoes. They're not about the fanciest or the nicest looking shoes. They're looking for shoes. They're building a business so they can impact people in other countries and in other parts of the world. And they've had that idea since the beginning. They, in the last few months, have actually sold their 1,000,000th pair of shoes, which is an amazing accomplishment. And in March of 2012, Blake, you saw the big hair guy in the video, Blake, he is their original founder. He has decided to get outside of the shoes, but no matter what the next product is going to be, they are always in the one-to-one business. They are always in whatever the next product may be, shoes, bags, clothing, whatever the case, they're going to do a one-for-one campaign because that is their DNA, that is their culture, that's how they want to do business. And that's something very inspiring to figure out a way that you could change your business that way too. So that's a really great example to me of a social impact. Now let's get into another area that some people don't necessarily think of, and that's how to impact your employees. Zappos, most people know Zappos that are in the online world anyway. They are an online retailer. They used to just sell shoes, as a matter of fact, and now they've gotten to all sorts of areas of clothing, apparel, bags, and they're not in the retail business. They would say they're in the customer service business, because they are rabid about excellent customer service experiences. For example, some of their policies, they have a 365-day return policy. They do free overnight shipping. There's stories that you can read online of hand-delivered items because they had a present for a birthday party the very next day, and one of the Zappos employees got in their own car with the package and drove to the customer's house and dropped that sort of stuff off just to deliver the experience that Zappos is like. So they are rabid about the customer service experience. One of the interesting stories that Zappos has is about their culture and about their employee training program. When you become an employee of Zappos, you are required to go out to Las Vegas, where is their headquarters, to spend a month to do their training. And so, they start this process and they go through, 2 or 3 weeks of this process. And after 2 or 3 weeks, they get to the point where they basically have shared the majority of what Zappos and what the job is that you're going to do is all about. And they stopped down for a second and they put a line in the sand. They said, okay, here at Zappos, you got an idea now of how we work. You understand what we're going to be expecting from you, what we want you to do. So we're going to pose you a question, and it's going to be your choice on which way you want to go. And the question is essentially, do you still want to work here, or can we give you $5,000 to walk away if you don't think it's for you? And so they give every employee or potential employee the opportunity to take the cash and go. No harm, no foul if they do. But Zappos really wants to ensure that everyone that says yes makes the choice to turn down that level of money to be able to, be in the company that Zappos wants to be, and to be excited about customer service and to be able to deliver on that. And everybody at the company has to encounter that question and say no to it if they want to be an employee. Now, just a little backstory, they didn't start out at $5,000. When they were a much littler company, they did $100, they did $250, they slowly increased it over time from there. But they've gotten to the point where, that's where they're at, and that's how strongly they feel about everyone that they bring on is got to be a right fit for the company. So I love that story of, the $5,000 opt-out. So let's give one other example of impact. And if anyone's ever followed along with Ritz-Carlton, they are known for their customer impact and the things that they want to do for their customers. And the ladies and gentlemen of the Ritz-Carlton want to every day provide a gold standard version of customer service. Well, I came across a story from Ritz-Carlton that really impacted me. This is actually a story of a girl named Natalie Salazar. And she was never really she never stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. This is a story that they heard about and they decided to help her because it was something that the Ritz-Carlton is about and they wanted to be a part of. So I'm going to read you this story. Bear with me here. Sometimes it's a little tough to read, but I'm going to get through it. So Natalie Salazar, age 12, was a champion figure skater who began noticing pain in her leg while preparing for a regional competition as a step towards the Olympics. While originally thinking it was a joint inflammation, the condition was ultimately diagnosed as a type of cancer known as osteosarcoma. Her chemotherapy treatments were unsuccessful, and at age 13, Natalie was told she was going to die. Her biggest regret was that she would never be able to go to her high school prom. Natalie's 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Lewis, attended the same church as Laura Gutierrez, Area Director of Human Resources at the Ritz-Carlton, Dearborn, where Natalie's story was told. Laura and the ladies and gentlemen at Ritz-Carlton rushed into action. Laura described Natalie's special night. We hosted Natalie's prom in our ballroom, and it was attended by 18 classmates and 7 of her championship ice skating team members. Our AV tech was a disc jockey, our IT guy was the photographer, our banquet director provided security, and everyone pitched in to make this an extra special event. Our convention service team put pin light pin lights up and laid a dance floor, and our business center put together a PowerPoint presentation with pictures of the kids from kindergarten to 8th grade, complete with some drawings Natalie's former kindergarten teacher had provided. Laura goes on to add, our team hosted a grand prom complete with Prince Charming, who guided her down the red carpet to Natalie's favorite song, Sweet Escapes. There she danced the night away with Prince Charming. What an emotional night for everyone. The best part was she smiled the entire night. She danced every dance. She ate all of her favorite foods. She limboed, hula hooped, chicken danced, hustled, and led the train around the room. Parents joined the celebration at 10:30 just before Prince Charming turned into a frog. The kids had so much fun they didn't want the night to end. After a tearful goodbye, Princess Natalie was led to her waiting chariot for much-needed rest at home. She commented as she drove away, tomorrow I'm off to the hospital for some tests. I can't wait to tell them all about this, and she did just that. According to Laura, the buzz around the hotel was incredible. We were making a difference in a child's life and in the lives of her parents and teachers who for 1 year had worried about Natalie, supported her, and cared for her. Natalie's father said, we are immigrants to this country and have no family here. When Natalie became ill, we didn't even know what to do. But Natalie's teachers and friends and the staff at the Ritz-Carlton became our family. Natalie's mother added, I've been blessed with many friends, but I didn't know there were such wonderful and caring hearts as we found with everyone at the Ritz-Carlton. Natalie was only 13 when she lost her battle on Thursday, September 20th, 2007. The seamstress at the Ritz-Carlton who had made Natalie's prom dress also made her dress where she was buried. In Natalie's honor, Laura and the staff of the Ritz-Carlton commemorated what would have been Natalie's 14th birthday on October 22nd, 2007, complete with cake Natalie had described to Laura the evening before her death. Laura continues to keep in touch with Natalie's parents. While many other companies support members of their community, the Ritz-Carlton's culture of service routinely delivers caring such as that provided to Natalie's family. So the question that I ultimately want to ask everyone that's listening to this is has your business been built to leave that sort of lasting impact on your customers? I mean, that's an incredible story to, even for someone that is not a frequenter of the Ritz-Carlton or could afford the Ritz-Carlton, to be able to have that story is something that, to me, my level of success that I would love to attain, still working through. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing, and part of this is we wanted to share what we're trying to do. Not that we have it figured out, but that we are trying to make that change, to make that idea and define success for myself and my company. And so I would love to share with you guys what we're trying to do. So it goes back to the original question. What is success? What is success to you? What is success to me? After giving it a lot of thought and getting a lot of examples, we basically came back down to this. Success isn't only about making money, it's about impacting people's lives. So this isn't necessarily a mission statement. This is probably my personal mantra, but it's something that I feel like I need to continue to convey so it not only impacts everyone within our company, but the people that we work with, our clients and their customers. So let me tell you just a little bit about our company, and I'll be quick about this. Garland Hart is really our parent company. Garland Hart is the company that is more about my personal beliefs, our family's personal beliefs than anything else, and then we have sister companies underneath that are owned 100% by Garland Hart. Now, Garland Hart actually is, Hart is a set of initiatives that we believe heavily in, and you can see here that this is how we actually go about defining success. But Garland Hart, just so you're clear, H is for health and wellness, E is for education, A is for the arts, R is for responsibility, both social and Christ-led responsibility, and T for technology. So that is the company that I would never sell, and we have businesses underneath that naturally waterfall down with that belief system, and that's the way that we do business. Okay. So as being also a visual guy, this is one of the ways that I can kind of see at the center. It comes me and my own personal beliefs. Included in that is my family's beliefs and what we do and what we are as a family, and then naturally the businesses fall in around that. So once again, here are the acronyms for Garland Hart Management: Health and Wellness, Education, Arts, Responsibility, and Technology. And for the Garland Group, Each company, for the record, has its own set of goals, but specifically for the Garland Group, which is the company where I went to do this presentation, most of them know me as. This is what we're trying to do, and this is what we've imparted on our employees to aspire to be. And so for the year 2012, we made a shift that not only are we looking at business metrics like revenue and profitability and satisfaction, but our number one business goal this year is impact. So we want to do 90% of our clients, we want to cover and provide some sort of impact story to them or their customers in 2012. So that could be something as simple as remembering somebody's birthday, donating to one of the charities, or donating time into one of the events that they're doing. And it just depends on where those opportunities fall, and we want to cover 90% of our client base in doing that. Now, in addition to that, we also have standard business goals to keep the business going, because without a good business in place, we can't continue to impact people's lives. So we have revenue numbers, we have profitability numbers, and then we have a customer satisfaction of plus 40, which it's around the idea of a net promoter score. If we're able to obtain all of those, then there will be a year-end bonus for our employees, because we felt like, especially in this first year, we had to incentivize this changing of culture, which is tough to do, to be able to really make the difference that we are ultimately trying to make with our companies and our beliefs in our family. So some of the impact stories that we've done thus far, us being about halfway through the year, we've been a small angel investor in one of our clients' side businesses. We've donated to American Cancer Society for one of our partners whose father came down with stomach cancer. People that were in the hospital, we send flowers to, whether it's the people that we work with or their families, their sons and daughters. We even did an employee impact where one of our staff and his wife, need to get away, so we wanted to give them a weekend getaway just for them to enjoy. And then for things to be healthy, one of the ladies had mentioned about looking to try to get back in shape and try to work out some more, and so we sent a pedometer to her to encourage that and to help motivate her in meeting that goal that she wanted to do. So that's just some of the examples that we've done. We're adding to those as quickly as we can, and it's been really good to mark those down, share those with everybody, and try to make a small difference. It doesn't have to be as big as the Ritz-Carlton in our eyes, but something that is much more than what we were ever doing before. So let's talk a little bit about some of the hurdles that you may run into by trying to change this. This idea of impact or purpose in your business is not an easy one to just flip the switch on. So first off, changing the culture is always a tricky one. And if you've never read the book, Blue Ocean Strategy, I'd highly recommend it, because it's all about changing the culture. And it says there's 4 stages of changing culture: cognitive, limited resources, motivation, and politics. Just to cover these briefly, the cognitive is why we change. People must have some understanding of why the change in strategy is taking place. Sharing the idea of what we were wanting to do with impact and purpose is a pretty easy thing to check that off the list, because everyone generally wanted to be a part of that. Although it gets trickier as you go down, because limited resources is the required shift of resources from one area to the other. So that just because we want to go into this new business doesn't mean we're going to have all this money, extra money, to be able to throw at it. We have to cut away from some areas to be able to focus time and money in some cases in these areas that we want to focus in. So some people have to be willing to do that, and ultimately when you have a heart for giving, we have found that that's easier to do than just trying to go into a new business that people don't necessarily understand the end game for. The end game is to make a person's life change and to be impactful for them, and that's for our staff an easier transition. Motivation is, at the end of the day, the staff have to want to change. If they don't want to change, you're going to be walking uphill. So workers have to make that change. Communicating that to them, having conversations with where their head is on that is something that's incredibly important during this process. And even now, being 6 months into it for us, I feel like I'm continuing to re-communicate that over and over. People are probably sick of hearing about it, but to me, unless it's in their DNA, then we're never really going to make the company change like we want to. And then lastly, the institutional politics, or managing the change. One of the quotes from the book states, in our organization, you get shot down before you stand up. So if you create this culture that if someone has a new idea or they want to riff off of something that you just came up with and you shoot them down, well, you're demotivating those folks and they're going to resist change instead of embrace it like you're hoping them to. So changing the culture is always a tough one. Something that we have had to learn is the dynamics of the team and what we've had to do there to make sure that we get that right. Communicating the direction, communicating the strategy, communicating not just one way but multi-way, so we hear from everyone else what's working and what's not. Hire slow, fire fast is a easy HR quote, but it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we do right, that we get the right personalities, we get the people with the right heart, with the right passion for doing the things that we do. And if they don't have that, and they're looking to basically just get a check, then maybe they're not the right fit. That's why I love that Zappos example, because they really force people to make that change or make that decision of, this is the money that I am turning down because I want to work at this company so badly. And then what we have found too is that the vast majority of our employees are Gen X, Gen Y. I know a lot of folks out there are still struggling. How do we manage these folks? How do we keep them around? People are switching jobs every 6 months. I think generation lots of jobs in our what we have found is that they stay around because there's a purpose there. I'm a part of the same generation that is used to, my dad putting in 60 to 80 hour weeks and me not seeing him most of Monday through Friday, and he might come in at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and what does he have to show for it? Does he have a little extra money? Yeah, but I don't really care about the money and what his bank account said. I cared about him and spending time with him. So I think people in our generation have grown accustomed to be jaded about any corporation. They know the bottom line is what their the company's first interest is, not the employees. And so they're looking for other businesses that are thinking differently, that have a purpose, that have an impact, and they want those employees to help in that too. The last one is just leadership. It takes a different sort of thinker to be able to lead an organization like this. I love the Patton quote here at the bottom, better to fight for something than live for nothing. It's an awkward area that you stand in to try to stand out and say, we're not only about making money. But you have to be willing to stand out there if that's your ultimate goal of success. If that's what you define as your happiness, as your success goal, then that's something you have to be willing to do, and you have to consistently execute it. Again, I talk to my staff about this ad nauseum in a lot of cases, and I have to communicate that just about every day or it'll trail off. It's very easy, and we are even guilty of it, of the first couple of months, people being very excited, going through that honeymoon period, and then it trails off and people just try to go back to business as usual. So we have to keep pushing people on, this is the way we want to go. Don't forget these impact goals that we want to do, and continue to push through to really make that change that you want to make. Okay, so what have we learned? One of the things that I would say that has been important to me, for the record, another book recommendation, if you've ever read or haven't ever read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, I would highly recommend that. It's not about electronic, it's about entrepreneur myth, The E-Myth. And one of the statements that's always stuck with me ever since I read that is, make sure as a business owner, department head, manager, whoever, make sure you're working on the business as much as in the business, because it's really easy to just get working on in the business, getting those emails, going to the meetings, and not working on the business and trying to figure out, what are we trying to do with this business? What is our ultimate goal at the end of the day? What is the ultimate goal of this department at the end of the day? Asking those questions are harder questions to answer too, and it's not easy to get them, but by spending time in that, they'll eventually come out. Revisit your past, look back and see what worked whenever it first started potentially. What were the things that we did that really got people excited about doing the things that we were doing, and commit and stay consistent with whatever those goals are. If you're changing business direction every month or every 3 months, or your purpose every few months, a lot of people will get jaded. A lot of staff will get jaded and say, you know what, this person or people don't have it figured out. So what I tried to do is to get staff buy-in early. I had meetings prior to me coming out with our whole team to share, this is the direction I'm looking to go. What do you think? Does it get you excited? Is there anything I can hone in? Do we need to cut out, add, things like that? So getting them to help you champion that was really important in shifting our focus to that. And then ultimately, and like I'm trying to do here, is just be true and authentic to yourself, and don't try to do it underneath the guise of, well, if we do this, we can make more money. Because if you're going at it like that, you're going to ultimately fail. And we don't necessarily have it figured out, and we may not have all of our goals made by the end of the year, but at least we're trying. At least we're trying to be real and learn from everybody else, because at the end of the day, we definitely don't have it figured out. So that's some of the lessons that we've learned. Now, lastly, I'd like to end with this song and a story of what the impact through sound sounds like. And I'll reference Roy Spence Jr. again. He got a email or a phone call or something from one of his buddies and said, Roy, I loved your discussion on purpose and purpose-based business and how to impact people's lives and things like that. And I think I have it encapsulated in a song. So I'm just going to send you it, and when you get back to me, let me know what you think. And so I want to share that with you, and then I'll end right after that. So this is what impact sounds like through sound.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her waiting on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. Well, she tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from the lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Baby, there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a call and it's a broken hallelujah.
Royspin says this is what purpose sounds like when you have it right in your company. Everyone knows the words to the song, you listen to one another, you step up when it's your turn, and it sounds awesome when you all sing together. And by the way, it helps to have a good song to sing. I'd like to thank everybody for the time. I'd love to hear any comments or questions that you have, and feel free to reach out on our video page, or you can come to my personal website at bradgarland.net. Have a blessed day.